All right. So, using these terminal points, this one's going to be fun and a little more difficult, but not too bad. You just got to remember your sine, cosine, tangent ratios with your SOHCAHTOA. All right. So, just a little review so that you remember positives and negatives. Um, this is quadrant 1. Whoops. Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, 3, and 4. Okay? In quadrant 1, everything is positive. Okay? That is sine, cosine, tangent, cosecant, secant, and cotangent. So all are positive. In quadrant 2, that's all students. Sine and its inverse, cosecant, are positive. Everything else is negative. Okay? I should say, and it's reciprocal. In quadrant 3, that's tangent. That means tangent and its reciprocal cotangent are positive. That's the plus, positive. And then 4 is calculus. All students take calculus. That means cosine and its reciprocal, which is secant, are positive. Okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to do some example problems, and these example problems kind of mimic what your homework looks like. Okay, so first problem says, given this point, find sine, cosine, tangent. It tells you it's a terminal point, so that means it's on the unit circle. So that means this is my x, or my cosine. So this is cosine, and this is sine. So sine of t is 4/5. Cosine of t is negative 3/5. And then tangent of t is the one we're going to have to do some work for, because it's y over x, or sine over cosine. So it's 4/5 over negative 3/5. So that's 4/5 times the reciprocal. So negative 5/3. 5's cancel. So it's negative 4/3. Boom. Okay. Next problem. So we have a unit circle. And on this unit circle, we have radii of 1, but we also have the radians around the circle. So remember when we laid our pipe cleaner around the circle, and we said it was 6 of them plus a little bit, and we figured out it was 6.28 approximately 6.3, because 2 times pi is 6.3 approximately. So what happened here is from 0 to 1, these each are, there's 10 units. So this is 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, and so on, okay? So if we're looking, we want to estimate this 2 different ways. So we're going to use the figure, and then we're going to use a calculator. So using the figure, cosine is my x value, right? Keep that in mind. So 0.8. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right here, okay? This coordinate to get there looks approximately like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then up about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Looks about at 7, 7. Now I'm estimating. It told me to approximate, right? So I'm estimating the cosine to be 7. With me so far? If I plug it in my graphing calculator, so you have to make sure that when you go to mode, which is near your second button, you're going to have the 1, 2, third down. It says math print, normal, float, and then it says radian and degree. Make sure radian is what you're on. Pick that one. Make sure it's dark, because we're talking about radians and not degrees right now, okay? So that when you plug it in the calculator and you hit cosine of 0.8, it gives you 0.6967. And dot, 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 it keeps going. Pretty dang close. pretty dang close because silly Miss Upper, this isn't 7 units because this is 1 unit, right? So this is 0.7. Let me fix that for you. Maybe 0.7, 0.7. Because remember, it's 1 unit each direction. So 0.7. There we go. Now we're close. Sorry about that. All right, so let's look at tangent of negative 1.3. So we're going to need to go a whole radian plus 0.3. Well, and it's negative, so we're going to go in the opposite direction. So we're going to go, here's my 1, 2, 3, and then another whole radian. So I'm about at 5. Let me change my color here. So if I go up, that is just a little bit before 0.3. So I'm just going to call it 0.3 for my estimate. Okay. Well, and here, it's before 1. So I'm going to call it 0.95. Okay, so I'm going to go over 0.3, 0.95. Because it's, and I probably should call this like 0.295. Or, let's call this 0.29. I know I'm making a mess of things. Because as we think about it, it's definitely not at 3, but it's dang close, right? So to find the tangent, we have to do the opposite over adjacent if we're doing triangles, but in this case we don't have a triangle. So tangent, remember, is sine over cosine. Sine is your y and cosine your x. So we're going to do 0.95 over 0.29. When I divide that in my calculator, I get 3.27. And so if I actually figure it out, so if I plug tangent of negative 1.3 in my calculator, that gives me 3.602. Actually gives me negative 0.0362. So I forgot about that detail, right? With the coordinate, I'm going over positive and down negative. So this would be a negative here. Now my estimate is a lot less close than on part A because my estimate of where I am was a little off too. So I'd say that's pretty good. All right, here we go for the hard stuff. And I'm sure I'm going to have to do another example tomorrow when you come to class. So we're going to, given this information, we're going to find all the other ones. So it gives me the cotangent's value, and it tells me where the angle lies. And I need to find all 5 of the other angles. So I'm going to think about my unit circle. Okay. It has to be cotangent, and it's got to be in quadrant 3. So it's got to be over here. Cotangent, or you could say the tangent, is 4 over 1. So we know the tangent, right? Because cotangents they're just reciprocals. So tangent's going to be 4. Cotangent is x over y, right? So if I go, now remember it's in quadrant 3. So if I go over 1 and up 4, I am not in quadrant 3. I'm in quadrant 1. So I must have to go back negative 1 and down 4, negative 4, because the negative over negative would be positive. So now I have this right triangle in here. Okay, here is where my theta degrees are. So to find the cotangent, I do x over y, so 1 over negative 4. I need this distance right here, this hypotenuse. So I'm going to use my Pythagorean theorem to find it. So I'm going to say leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. I'll call it c. Okay, so 1 plus 4 is c squared. Sorry, square root both sides. Well, I should say 5 and then square root. So c is square root of 5. So this distance right here is square root of 5. Now, if I want to find the sine, remember sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So here's theta. I go across, so it's negative 4 over hypotenuse, which is square root of 5. I can't leave it like that. I need to rationalize, right? So I'm going to multiply by square root of 5 over square root of 5. So my final answer would be negative 4 square root of 5 over 5. Cosine. Remember, that is opposite or adjacent, over hypotenuse. So here's theta. Adjacent is negative 1. Hypotenuse is square root of 5. Again, rationalize. So my final answer is negative square root of 5 over 5. Tangent I already figured out by flipping over. Cosecant, I'll keep it red, is, the reciprocal of sine. Okay? So if my sine was negative 4 over square root of 5, my cosecant is square root of 5 over negative 4. And secant is the reciprocal of cosine. So if it is negative 1 over square root of 5, that's my cosine. My secant is going to be square root of 5 over negative 1, or just negative square root of 5. How fun was that? All right, see you tomorrow.